All right, so this is going to be a quick as possible as I can make it introduction into VueScan and how to properly scan your negatives. Um, I'm going to go through these settings very quickly. I'm going to skip through a few of them just so you can get the idea and get started on this. Um, so the very first thing you need to do is that VueScan, the way it works is that it has drivers for almost every single scanner out there, so you don't really need to install drivers for your scanner. So all you need to do is turn it on and make sure that it's selected here. I'm scanning color film, so I'm going to go ahead and select color negative. Bits per pixel, I'm going to go with 64-bit RGBI because what this means is that I'm going to get 16 bits per color and then an extra layer, which is an extra channel, which is going to be the infrared information, which is going to show me all the dust and stuff that's on the negative that I haven't been able to remove physically. That way I'll be able to remove it in post or even inside the app. So I'm going to go with 64-bit RGBI. Preview resolution doesn't matter too much. Try to pick something lower than the scan resolution that your scanner can actually go up to. Mine can go up to 3600 dpi, so I'm going to pick that. These options here, auto flip, don't do auto flip. Rotation will let you flip your image to whatever side you want in case your image is not in the right orientation, like for example like this or like that. And mirror will basically mirror the image. You're going to set auto save in scan, at least that's how I do it. You can try different things. Um, and you're going to make sure that in output you select your default folder before you get started. This is really, really, really important because if you do not select this folder, you are going to you're going to screw this up because you're going to scan a bunch of pictures and they're not going to be saved anywhere. VueScan does not have a way to alert you if the folder you're trying to save the pictures to doesn't exist. So you should pick one before you get started. I'm going to go ahead and pick March 26, which I have selected right here, and I'm going to press OK. Um, let's go to input and preview. So the very first thing you need to do when you're previewing an image is you need to make sure that the first image you're previewing has some part of the negative that does not contain any image data. What that means is that you're trying to include information that is only the unexposed negative. The reason we're doing this is to give VueScan the proper orange mask so that it can fix it properly. I'm going to select this chunk here, which is unexposed negative. Make sure it's a little bit like that. It might look different for you. Well, let's preview this first. Um, and might I say, don't scan more than one negative at a time because your scanner will go nuts trying to fix the colors for each negative. You're going to get different histograms you're going to get all your histograms mixed up into one, and you don't want that. It'll be harder to fix the colors for each picture. All right, once you have that preview done, you're going to click this here, lock exposure. What that's going to do is it knows exactly how much light it needs to shine through the negative to get through the density of the negative. As you can see, it's already selected 1.909. That's a number that's relative to VueScan. I'm not entirely sure exactly what that number means, but you don't need to worry about it. Just make sure you lock exposure. Press preview again. All right, now that you have the second preview, you're going to go ahead and click this, lock film base color. What this does is that it locks the color of your negative of your film stock. Um, you only have to do this all this entire process. You only have to do it once per roll that you're scanning, and in my experience, you only have to do this using color film. Um, Now that you have lock exposure, and lock film-based color selected. Press preview one last time. This is kind of tedious, but these are the instructions that the creators of VueScan provide for um, correctly scanning color negatives, and it's given me good results, so I can stand by them. So just bear with me. All right, we're ready to go. I'm going to select the image that I have here. It's just about there. And I'm going to go to color and I'm going to do auto levels. All right, auto levels is going to assume um, the levels required to make this picture look good. This is a good starting point. From here, you want to select the type of negative that you're using. I believe this is a Kodak Portra 400. Let me make sure. Confirmed. It is. So I believe this is a Kodak Portra 400, and I'm going to make sure that I select it here. And because it is so bright, I'm going to go ahead and get started first with the brightness. I'm going to lower it to half and see what it looks like. That looks decent. Um, and it's a good starting point. From here, you want to go to Image and Graph BW, which gives you a pretty good rendition of the histogram. And you want to go ahead and bring this in, maybe. Bring this out a little bit. No, not so much. I think that looks okay. I can bring the brightness up a little bit. And I'm pretty satisfied with that. Because I moved the negative just to check the portrait, I'm going to preview one more time so that I can make sure that I have my dotted line exactly where I want it to be. Okay, moved a little bit. Let's reselect it. All right. And it's very important that you select only within the negative so that when you're doing the auto levels, um, it actually does things exactly. It actually only uses the information within the picture to determine what's black and what's white and how to fix the colors. Now, you can go ahead and scan from here, but I like to do one last thing, and it's white balancing. And this is especially important if you're shooting indoors with daylight balanced film, or if you're shooting outdoors with tungsten balanced film. Um, so what you can do is you look at your image and you find a neutral white or gray spot and you right click it. I'm going to try this, and that looks a tiny bit better. Maybe I could try the cloud as well. The change isn't incredible, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Now, we're going to go to output, and on output, this is where you're going to decide what kind of files you're going to get. The way I work, I like to make a raw file for safekeeping so that I can keep as much information as possible from this scan. And I'm going to make sure that it's on 64-bit RGBI and no compression. And important, raw DNG format. This is crucial for me because this is the way I make sure that I have the most information possible. In my experience, if you do a raw TIFF, the information you save is going to be a little bit off. I'm not entirely sure why. Your results may vary. Try it yourself if you'd like. But the other reason I use DNG is because I also want to make a TIFF file and a corrected TIFF file, which is what this is going to give me. This TIFF file is going to be corrected with the settings that we put here on VueScan. So I'm going to make sure that I select this name and give it also to the raw scan. And I'm going to make a JPEG, which will make it, right, let's make sure this is 64-bit RGBI, no compression. I'm also going to make a JPEG, make sure it's 100 quality. And that way, if I'm satisfied with the scan exactly as it comes out, cool. I can just use that JPEG and upload it to the web. or I can just use the TIFF for minor corrections, or if I want to start over, I don't have to rescan. I can just use the raw file and make the corrections again here inside VueScan or in Lightroom. Um, Before we scan, I want to show you this. The filter tab, you can do infrared cleaning. If I go with none, you'll see that I have all these dots that have been detected by the infrared sensor. So if I press light, you'll see that they all sort of disappear, and that's the infrared correction doing its magic. This will only be transmitted to the corrected files. So that'll be the TIFF and the JPEG. The RAW file will not have these corrections. RAW is raw. It is exactly as the scanner sees the negative. It will not do these corrections. So with that being said, let's go ahead and scan. And we're done with this scan. Let's take a look at what we got. So we have here the three files that I described earlier: the DNG, which is your proper negative, JPEG, and a TIFF that you can go ahead and edit. Let's take a look at the JPEG. Let's see what the image looks like. Nice. So the most important thing that you need to know about VueScan is that while VueScan can produce an excellent scan, um, the way I like to use VueScan is to use it as a starting point to then bring the images into Lightroom and properly edit them. What I'm trying to do with VueScan is get a good base, a good image base where the shadows are not clipped, the highlights are not clipped, and there's a good range of there's a good tonal range all throughout the image. If that means that you want to scan a little bit less contrasty, less punchy, that works fine too. That's totally up to you. I hope this helps you get started using VueScan. It definitely took a lot of time for me to get to this point, and I wish I had seen a few videos explaining this. But at the moment when I was starting with VueScan, I don't think I found something that was concise enough for me to understand the software. It took me a lot of rolls and a lot of scans to get to this point. So I hope this really helps you get started and you can take it from here and learn as much as you can. Thanks for watching.